The Denver Nuggets didn't have too much trouble defending their home court on ring night against the Lakers, and while you could point to Jokic's triple-double, KCP's 20-ball, or Jamal Murray's brilliant shot creation, what caught my eye was Aaron Gordon doing literally everything. It all starts on the defensive end, with physical tools that can only be described as made in a lab. Not only does he have the agility to go under a screen and slide laterally to beat Hachimura to the spot, but the lower body strength to absorb contact and remain completely vertical as he contests a finish. He pairs those tools with great matchup recognition, and what I mean by that is he knows how to process what an attacker's trying to do and make the right decisions to minimize the threat. This time he's defending LeBron as he moves into a dribble handoff, and he knows that James wants to turn the corner and get downhill, so he goes under the screen and leaves a little bit of space so that he can force him into settling for a jumper, which rims off the front. When it's a better shooter like Austin Reeves, then Gordon's gonna stay attached over the top of the screen, and although Reeves appears to have the step, Gordon's length allows him to recover and get a great contest on the mid-range jumper. If he's unable to get around the screen, caught up with no path to recovery, he has no problem switching up a position. Rui seals off position for an offensive rebound, but Gordon's one of the quickest 2-foot leapers in the game, so he's able to swat the second chance opportunity. His athletic frame makes him a tenable matchup for just about anyone you can think of. In semi-transition, he gets cross-matched with AD, and he uses his core to shut off the middle, forcing him into help near the baseline, while keeping one of those lengthy arms up in the air to make it a tough look over the top. Because he's so versatile, Denver's able to run a switch-heavy scheme whenever Jokic is off the floor, meaning that the offense isn't able to create any easy advantages as there's always a body to step in front of the ball. That ability to switch onto bigger players also means that when he's on the backline and tags a roller, that isn't really something to exploit or attack. There were a couple instances of Gordon rotating down from the corner to pick up AD in the screen and roll, and it indirectly led to a turnover because ball handlers chose to go elsewhere. In general, his positioning and help was incredible. As AD faces up for an isolation, Gordon roams way over from his man at the top of the key to take away the nail, and he's able to over-aggressively rotate like this because he has the agility to recover to his man if needed. Take this play for example. As Reeves collapses the defense on a drive, Gordon's forced to slide down to Hachimura near the elbow, and just look at how much space there is between him and his man Taurean Prince. As soon as the kickout pass is made, he's moving on a string to close out and runs him off the line while still remaining close enough to bother a second look. While he's active and engaged as a helper, he's simultaneously tracking his own matchup at all times, meaning that on a play like this where he's backdoored, he's not only able to recover, but eats up the pass entirely. And that type of play really speaks to his combination of agility, length, and sharp hands, just capable of disrupting so much of what an offense tries to do, even when he's not at the point of attack. Like many great defensive players, that defense often turns into transition offense going the other way, and Gordon's always looking for opportunities to get out and run where he can drive and finish on even the game's best paint defenders. Because he's such a big threat to get to and score at the rim, when he's pushing down the middle, defenses are forced to scramble and put a body in front of him, which then frees up streaking shooters that he'll hit on sharp kickout passes. So he can put pressure on the rim, find running teammates, yet still he's most lethal in the open floor when he doesn't have the ball, and it's in these spots where he's a walking highlight reel. Because of his burst as an athlete and explosive finishing, he's also able to put a ton of pressure on the rim in early offense or semi-transition, this time dumping it off to MPJ for a free 2 points. In the half court, Denver actually likes to initiate a lot of sets with him on the ball, and that's because he sees the floor well, can make various different types of passes, and really isn't a guy who's gonna force things that aren't there. I'd argue that this is the most underrated aspect of his game. When Jokic looks to seal off low post position, notice how Gordon places the entry where only he can get to it, and just having another guy who can get the ball to Joker in advantageous spots goes a long way. Unlike some other play initiators around the league, he isn't a non-threat, and the fact that he can also put it down and attack space or isolate makes Denver that much tougher to defend. This time Gabe Vincent overhelps on a potential drive, and Christian Braun's gonna move to a soft spot in the defense, making himself an available target. He misses the first one, so Gordon doesn't log an assist, but he ultimately did create that opportunity at the rim. When there's nothing available right away, he's even got a good enough handle to make something happen. First throwing an escape dribble straight into an explosive crossover, going behind his back to change direction and shed his defender, which draws help, and again leaves Braun open under the basket. Just like that last play, he doesn't get an assist, but that collapsing of the defense ends up in the hands of Nikola Jokic for a wide open three, and you'll take that every single time if you're the Nuggets. Gordon's most lethal as an isolationist when he has a mismatch to attack, and that's because he's one of the best low post scorers in the game right now, with the physicality, footwork, and versatile finishing to abuse smaller players. This time it's Gabe Vincent, and with help waiting in the middle, he's going to take an exaggerated hop step as he turns over his left shoulder, and with AD chasing him down, he uses a little quick release scoop to avoid a potential block. Even with all of those different uses as an on-ball guy in both the half court and in transition, he's still best weaponized away from the ball. You'll often see him used as a screener, whether that's in set plays or basic ball screens, and that's because he demands attention when rolling downhill. Take this play. Murray draws two to the ball coming off a screen, and he's going to use his live dribble to keep them attached as he stares down Gordon on a roll. Just the threat of him getting the ball that close to the basket nearly collapses the defense and leaves Braun with a wide open top of the key three that misses, but look who's there for the rebound. Most commonly though, if you turn on a Nuggets game, you're going to see Aaron Gordon operating on the baseline as a play finisher, and that's his way of spacing the floor without being a great outside shooter. He has great feel for positioning himself and filling out space, and opens up the paint with his gravity. Christian Wood isn't able to offer any help because he has to stay attached to Gordon under the basket. The reason he demands this sort of attention is that if he catches the ball that close to the rim, it's nearly impossible to stop him from getting a good shot. Last year, the guy shot 73.4% at the rim on more than 10 attempts every 100 possessions. Only 4 other players in the league reached both of those marks. He's also a big-time threat to get above the rim for lobs, and Jokic throws this one a little bit too high, but actually, that brings up a question I have for you, the viewer. I wasn't able to determine if Gordon realized he couldn't get to the ball in time and intentionally tipped it back to Jokic, or if it was just a coincidence. I'll leave it up to you to decide, so let me know in the comments what you think about this one because I'm really curious. With that taken care of, another thing Gordon brings to the table when operating on the baseline is his offensive rebounding. Last year, he averaged 2.4 offensive rebounds a game, up to 2.5 in the playoffs, which was actually the highest among any non-center if we choose not to count the position scammer Evan Mobley. So, just to recap how uniquely versatile Aaron Gordon is on both ends of the floor, defensively he can switch onto anyone, eat up space as a helper on the backline or at the nail, and use his physical tools to blow up plays or force turnovers. Offensively, he's a threat with or without the ball in transition, is a good enough passer to initiate set plays, and a good enough attacker to exploit softer defensive coverages or mismatches. Yet, he's most effective when he's exclusively weaponized as a finisher, whether that's through screening, cutting, or when moving along the baseline, and we saw every single bit of this in just game 1 of the season. Another thing I want to point out is that he made all kinds of risky, high leverage passes into the middle of the paint, yet didn't turn the ball over a single time. He also played incredibly aggressive and physical on defense, yet didn't foul a single time. These two indicators speak to how Gordon doesn't really make errors. There's not much fat to trim in his game, which is what helps him elevate the team to a championship level. Against the Lakers, he recorded a nice 15, 7, and 6 with 2 steals and a block on about 64% from the field. Some nice numbers, but certainly not jumping off the stat sheet. Regardless, his impact was all over this game, all over last year's playoff run, and I expect that trend to continue into 2024. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my post notifications on to be first on more content. If you're interested in my more in-depth research, make sure to check out my website and social media profiles. You can find those links in the description. Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you think of Gordon. As always, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.